8 p.m. Pacific time. And then for those of you on Rumble, Rumble doesn't share my videos, the regular videos, which show up on Wednesday at I don't know what time Rumble makes it active, but likely like midday on Wednesdays. On YouTube, it's always at 9 a.m. on Wednesday. So I have a regular schedule. So if you're wondering, if you're not getting a notification, just think in your head it's Wednesday. There's going to be a short video, and then the live stream is always on Thursdays. There is no live stream in the next couple of weeks, so there's just a brief absence there. I'm going to be busy, so no live stream the next 2 weeks, but there will be a regular schedule after that, and the Wednesday videos continue every week. There's no pause in that at all. So that's the schedule. Now, a format of a live stream. Again, I get so many side comments that it becomes irritating after a while. Sorry. But the live stream is actually only 30 minutes on the given topic. Yes, it's an hour and a half because the next is an hour of Q&A so that I can listen to you. Some of my best supporters want to ask questions, and so I want to allow that. So that happens in the next, after the first 30 minutes. So I don't really read a lot of questions during the first 30 minutes. So if you have a question, hold off to the second section in the after the first 30 minutes so that I can focus on it. The topic today is about can't hear you during the commercials. Oh, well, that's okay. Nothing important's happening yet. So the topic today is about do you like being watched on the internet? And actually, that's not the real topic. None of you want to be watched on the internet. That's why you're in this channel. So it's going to be boring if we talk about the logic of some of you saying, well, of course I don't want to be watched on the internet. That's not really the question. The question is, how do you get watched on the internet? Because a lot of you just don't understand. And I've made so many videos about this, and yet it's just not clear yet. So I'm going to just, have a little bit of a discussion here. I'll tell you, you can ask me questions later if something is not clear. But the question raised to me on Brax.me actually was somebody saying, well, I'm running Brave. Brave gets rid of cookies, and I'm on an iPhone. So, how does this Google tracking occur? Because the way you are tracked, guys, there's no doubt about this, is the most insidious way of being tracked, and that is with the Google ID. It's basically like being chipped. It's almost like no escape. None of us can escape the Google ID. It's worse than being tracked with your social security number, because every move you make on the internet is actually tracked on this. So that's why it's very, very frustrating, because it's very embedded into everything we do on the internet, and none of you really pay attention to it. Many of you are making comments like, oh yeah, we got to ban TikTok, we got to ban this, that, and all of this, and yet TikTok does not have the same kind of danger where there's somebody that's tracking every single move you make on the internet, every single thing. Every website you go to, every interaction. I would say 99% of your traffic is being monitored. 99%. I don't care if you have a VPN. We'll get into that too. You can have a VPN and you're still going to be tracked. If you don't understand the mechanics of this, you're just going to go around in circles and think that you've solved the problem. Oh, I use Brave browser and I got rid of cookies, so therefore I'm safe. Like, yeah, I blocked all the ad trackers, so yeah, they can't track me. Wrong. So the basic problem is this. If you have a normie phone, I just want to make this clear again, because I don't like repeating this over and over, because you're going to be tired of me. saying I'm being repetitive, but you got to really understand this. If you have a normie phone, there is no escape. And why is that? Because on the normie phone, you log in. You're logged in. You're logged into something. You're logged into Google on a Android. You're logged into Apple and Google on an iPhone. I would hardly believe that any of you actually have an iPhone and don't actually log into any kind of Google app. I would find that unbelievable if you say, well, I'm on an iPhone, but I never log into Gmail or YouTube. Yeah, right. Okay. 90% of the world has Gmail. Maybe more. So there's still, there's no escape from the fact that even if you have an iPhone, you don't really escape what Google has. Okay, you don't escape from the Google platform. Gmail and YouTube alone is probably going to account for 95%, maybe even more, maybe closer to 100% of the population would need that. Plus, you have Google Authenticator. Google 2FA on the phone, which they require. So now you're revealing your phone number and everything else. So now what happens? Why do I make a claim that the Google tracking occurs even if you have a VPN, even if you're running Brave browser, even if you're doing any of this? And it's basically because of the phone. The phone. It's actually, the escape actually is to not use the phone. If you didn't use the phone, there is an escape. But if you're on the phone, there is no escape because a standard phone is logged in. It's logged in. Now, what happens if it's logged in? If it's logged in, there's telemetry between the phone and Google. Apple has its own telemetry, but we won't focus on Apple right this moment. We'll just focus on the Google side. Because Google is very pervasive. They know every website you visit, which we'll get into. I'm going to try to compress this in a very short amount of time. Okay? So there is no escape. You go into your Android and you're logged into Android. You don't have to do anything. Your Android is already logged in. You're in contact with the Play Store. It has telemetry. The phone knows everywhere you are at any time. Okay, I have another video coming up next week and you'll find out about geofencing. Your phone knows where you are at all times. I don't care what you do. I don't care what things you turn off. The phone knows where you are at all times. It goes into the Google Sensor Vault. That's a new term you're going to learn next week. Google Sensor Vault. Okay, so everything you do on the phone is tracked. I don't care if it's an iPhone or an Android, but worse on an Android because that's very direct. The only way you can escape on an iPhone, in theory, which I don't think you can, is if you had no Google on the phone ever. Not once. Because once you do it once, use it for 2FA, use it for YouTube, use it for Gmail once, then it got the ID of the phone and you're stuck. There's no escape. It recognizes the phone and so on. So now you have a constant telemetry between your phone and Google. Google knows where you are. Google knows your device. Google knows the device model. Google knows you're on an iPhone 13 Max, you're on a Google Pixel 6. It knows all that because it's part of the telemetry. And it not only knows that, it knows minute by minute where you are. It knows what apps you're running at that moment. So now, the Google ID then is known to Google at that connection. Now you go into a website and you're saying, well, I'm smart. I'm using Brave. I'm using multiple containers on Firefox. I'm whatever. You're doing whatever you're doing on. I'm using DuckDuckGo as my search engine. I'm not even using Google search. So you do some of the stuff that I talk about. And you think you're all set. Well, unfortunately, you're not set because, as I told you, the monitoring of your Google ID is happening at that exact moment, regardless if it's an iPhone or a standard Google Android. Now you go to the website, use a VPN. So okay, you have an encrypted connection, and you go to Yahoo.com. Okay. Oh, I went to Yahoo. And you went to the finance section of Yahoo, okay? And you said, okay, well, Google doesn't know anything because I didn't log into Google. on the phone, you don't have to log into to Google because the Google Analytics knows who you are. It knows the device. It knows you're connected to, at the same time, to Yahoo Finance section, and you're out there checking the price of Tesla. Of course it knows that. It doesn't matter that there's encryption with HTTPS or VPN or whatever kind of encryption there is. It doesn't matter. Google knows that. Why? How does Google know? How does Google know if there's a VPN and there's a encryption with HTTPS? How does Google know? This is the most invasive thing, and I've been telling you this over and over, and I don't think it's really sinking in here. Okay? How does Google know? Google knows because you're logged in. And Google Analytics is in every sucking website. How many websites don't have Google Analytics? 99% of all websites have Google Analytics in it because they want to have, even Brax.me, the main page has Google Analytics, or I won't get any search, I won't show up in search. The app is not. There's no Google Analytics on the app, but the Brax.me, the main page only, one page. That has Google Analytics. Why? Because I don't have a choice. If I do that, then I disappear from Google, and then Google doesn't check the page and doesn't push it in the search engine. If I want the search engine to put it up there, I'm going to put Google Analytics on there. Okay, so now 99%, like I said, of all websites have Google Analytics on there. Now, if it has Google Analytics, it will sense then who you are. The moment you log in, it knows, oh, yeah, you're logged in. I know your Google ID. There's many ways it can detect this, and one of them, of course, is from the cookies. And you might say, well, I erase cookies. It doesn't work like that, okay? Because even on Brave, it erases cookies when you exit. It doesn't erase cookies created then. Okay? So even none of that cookie behavior affects anything. Yes, when you exit, it deletes the cookie. So what? The app is still there running and will reinsert the new cookie. And so the app can easily, Google Analytics can easily pick the Google ID from there. In addition to that, the telemetry will also reveal who you are because, it knows, same IP address, same user, same timestamp. We know the traffic. We know what app is running on the other end. And so they can actually bypass the VPN and know what you're doing. Now, how does a Google Analytics do that? Because what is Google Analytics? I've tried to explain this over and over in so many videos that doesn't get watched because I guess I'm very repetitive and boring. So, sometimes I got to keep pushing this because it's not sinking in. Why is it that Google Analytics can do this? The reason is Google Analytics is running in an iframe. What is an iframe? There's the web page and there's a little sub web page that's hidden. It's a hidden web page inside the main web page. The main web page is yahoo.com. The sub page is called google.com, meaning every zucking website has google.com. Let me let that sink in. Every sucking website, 99%, not every, 99% of all websites has google.com. And many have facebook.com because of the Facebook like button. But 99% have google.com because it's part of the Google Analytics. And if they don't have Google Analytics, they have Google AdSense. Most likely they have both. So there's multiple parts of Google code. Now, exactly how does Google Analytics work on a website? They give you a little JavaScript and say, insert this into your web page. So they insert the JavaScript into the web page, and it puts into the little iframe. You don't know because you're just inserting a little script in there. You don't know what's in the script. Well, the script generates an iframe, which is a website in the website, with the domain google.com. Well, what does the domain google.com do? It can read all the cookies from google.com coming from any website, coming from any source. It can read it as long as it's google.com. Well, you got google.com at the phone side. inserting a cookie that's google.com. You went to 5 different websites. They all have google.com. They can all access all that. They know every website you've been to, which they're going to use for something that I'm going to discuss in a couple of weeks called Topics and Flock. Federated learning of cohorts is now Topics, TOPICS. And that's the new approach that Google's taking, and that'll be in a video in two videos from now, two short videos from now. But so there is no escape. I mean, this is pretty incredible that we let this happen. That we just say, "Oh, let's complain about TikTok, but let's not complain about the fact that every fucking move you make on the internet is tracked by Google. Everything." There's nothing you can do that's not tracked. Now, how do you escape this? What's my time here? Okay. How do you escape this? Well, the escape is to not have a Google ID. This is such a basic thing. I've been telling you over and over. How do you escape this? By not having a Google ID. Well, how do you not have a Google ID? Well, on a computer, it's very simple. On the computer, if you're on a browser and that browser is not logged into Google and there are no Google cookies in there, there is no Google ID. How do you ensure there are no cookies in there? Erase history, erase cookies, start from scratch. That wipes out every Google cookie in there. And so you're done. There's no Google cookie in a browser that's been cleared of history as long as you never log into Google on that browser ever again. So if you're on a computer and you're saying, I'm going to run Brave. Brave takes care of cookies when you log out, but that's not relevant right now. I'm just saying you're using Brave on a computer and you do not log into Google. There's no Google ID, so you can do whatever you want. You can go to YouTube. Google can't track you. Okay? Again, it's such a simple concept here. Google can't track you if there's no Google ID. They can track you indirectly through browser fingerprinting. Again, video in a couple of weeks on that. But, yeah. So they cannot track you without a Google ID if you don't log in. Now, okay, so that's clear on the computer. Now, sometimes you have to log into Google. How do you handle that? I said reserve Chrome for logging in to Google. If you need to use Google, use Chrome, but nothing else. Don't use any other website on Chrome. And by doing that, then the Google ID doesn't spread. There's no way to do Google ID. And by doing that, there's no way to track you. There's absolutely no way to know who you are if they can't match to the Google ID unless you tell the website who you are. Obviously, the banks know who you are. Don't worry about the banks. They're not a concern. Don't hide from the bank. Some of you are hiding from the bank. I'm going to use Tor with the bank. No. Don't waste your time doing that. Okay? They're not the threat. The threat is big tech and social media. Your banks are just trying to protect you. Allow them to do that. As long as it's not CDBC, it's fine. If it's CDBC, we got a problem. Okay? But don't worry about banks. So the only thing you got to worry about is that do not put a Google ID on one of the browsers you're going to use normally for other things. And that's the one that doesn't get tracked by Google. Suddenly you wiped out the Google influence. Okay, but we still have the phone problem. How do you stop the tracking on the Google Android? Well, you fucking can't. Let me repeat that. If you have a Google Android, there is no fucking way you can remove the Google ID. No fucking way. You got a Android, you logged into Google, and you said, oh my gosh, look at what Rob said. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to reset the phone and never log into Google. I don't know how you're going to get your apps with that. And the telemetry is still going on, so it's captured. Even if you're not logged in to Google, the telemetry from the Google system apps, the Google services it's called, are still running in the background and still capturing the telemetry, which includes the identifiers of the phone, the IMEI, the IMSI, the phone number, device serial numbers, and so on. So it knows the phone, even if you never logged in. If you didn't log in again, but the first time you logged in, they have all the matching identifiers. They can say, "Oh yeah, we recognize the phone. We've seen this before." But for some reason, you don't want to log into Google, but we know who you are because it's the last user of the phone. We know who the last user of the phone is based on the IMEI and the phone number and all that. So, I mean, how do you even escape that? How do you even escape 2FA? Oh, forget about burner phones. Okay, so how do you solve that? Well, before I answer that, let's now go to the iPhone. The iPhone, again, has the same problem. The moment you log into Google, Google then captures the phone number and the Apple ID and other cross identifiers, the advertising ID. So it now has cross identifiers to isolate and know what the phone is. And that Google app is running in the background and sending the same telemetry. Where it's an iPhone or whatever it is, if you have Gmail on there especially, it's doing that telemetry, sending that data back and forth with all that and all those identifiers. Then you go to a website that it knows, again, cookies get, Google app is running, it saves a cookie into google.com on a device. You're on the website, Google Analytics sees a cookie. Oh yeah, you're using Brave, cookies get erased. No, it doesn't get erased because it inserts the cookie over and over. And even if you didn't have that, it knows the identifiers to the phone. Therefore, it identifies you anyway and says, oh yeah, I will recognize you. And if you doubt any of this, you can check the security, your security profile in Google accounts, and you can see that it recognizes the phone and that you are on it and what time and all that. It knows all that. You can go see it. Okay? So, there's no escape? Of course there's an escape. But don't avoid the escape because I've been telling you the escape and you're looking at me like I'm just trying to sell you something. Okay? The reason I try to give you a solution is because I don't have an alternative. I don't know what else to use. Yes, I have. I just got this, right? You've seen this before. I got the Librem 5 a couple of weeks ago. Not using it because it's not really all that usable. So I can't recommend this. Aside from the horrendous price, can't really recommend it because it's not practical to use. I mean, who wants to use something with a 4-hour battery life and overheats? Okay, they haven't solved that and crashes so often, and you don't know what to do when it crashes. Okay, and but that's certainly an option if that were running. That would work. I don't need to sell you something if I can. Unfortunately, I don't know what else to tell you but to give you solutions. The answer, of course, is to use a de-Googled phone. Now, I don't care if you buy a de-Googled phone from me or not. That's, if you want to support this channel and want to do that, that's fantastic and I really appreciate that. But that's not the point. There are many other people who will try to sell you a de-Googled phone. And as far as I'm concerned, they're all fine. Now, I think that we have certain advantages, and we certainly don't want to bother you and take care of the headaches of having to do this if you're not techie. But what happens with a de-Googled phone? Well, the de-Googled phone never has a login. I have never logged into my phone. So the solution is pretty obvious. If you've never logged into Google on the phone, what the heck? Where does Google get ID? Well, you can't even run any Google app of any sort on a de-Googled phone. It doesn't run. You can't run YouTube. You can't run Gmail. You can't run anything. You can only use the browser. You cannot load anything that has Google code hidden on it. There is no system app. There is no app that has rights to get the device identifiers. For that reason, a de-Googled phone is the only solution where there is complete invisibility. The phone is not visible to Google. They don't know if you're on a phone or on a computer. They don't know. It's the only way I know on the phone to evade Google. Now, you can evade the Google on a computer, but they're going to ask for two-factor authentication, and they're going to involve your phone. They're going to involve your phone, and then the two will be connected. So if it's a Google phone, they may involve your phone, but they don't know what the phone is. They just know that you use a certain phone number, but they don't know exactly what that phone is doing because there is no telemetry. Okay, so again, what is the distinguishing effect here? The distinguishing effect here of a Google phone is there is no knowledge of the phone. They don't know what the phone is doing. Yeah, they can send a phone text to it for 2FA, but they don't know what the phone is. They can't monitor it. It could be being sent to a phone or to some other device. They don't really know for sure. You could move the SIM card around to multiple Google devices, and they can't really tell which is which. It's a pretty amazing solution, actually. And what happens when you do that? Well, my goodness, my friends, the effect is huge. Because for the first time, no one can watch you. I mean, this is such a basic thing. You can't be watched. Google doesn't know what websites you visit. Google doesn't know what you're clicking. Google doesn't know your location. There is no location that is being sent that tells them what you're doing at every moment. If you were in the Capitol on January 6th and you had a Google phone, you're not going to be part of that 940 some people who have been charged. So they've charged 940 some people in the January 6th as of March. Okay? But if you had the Google phone, well, they could still have tracked you by IMSI. So it's not 100%. You needed to have taken another step, like turn off the SIM card. If you went to the Capitol, turn off the SIM card on your phone. Yeah, absolutely. You'd be invisible. Your only fear is facial recognition. Okay? So, yeah. Can your phone be picked up by Stingray? Any phone can be picked up by Stingray as long as the SIM card is active. But you can deactivate it. Okay? So, this is the only solution that exists. I mean, there is no... only a Google phone can do this. Or don't use a phone, use a computer. One of those two solutions will work. Okay? And then you don't have to worry about being watched because you're not. Now, so don't come up with answers like, oh, I'm using an iPhone, so, I'm using Brave. I must have some escape, but I'm going to keep using my standard Google Android. I have a Brax 2 phone, but I don't want to use it right now because I don't know how to use it. I'm not going to go find out. I'm not going to go ask anyone in the community because, I don't really know how to put a SIM card in, but I'm not going to ask. So I'm just going to stick to my Android for now because it's simpler. And, well, you can do whatever you want, obviously, but I'm just making you aware that there's a big difference. Here's a phone that's invisible, and here's a phone that is tracked 100% in a big, big way. There's no escape from it. Okay? Now, forget about Aurora Store. Use apkpure.com. I don't make Aurora Store. Okay? It's just third party that makes it, and Google does everything they can to shut down the Aurora Store, but they can't shut down apkpure.com. Okay, so go to apkpure.com. It works fine. Okay, that's always available. So you always have a way. You can even find older versions of apps on apkpure.com. Just be careful because there's no one monitoring the apps in there. Be careful the apps you download. That'll be your responsibility. Okay? So there you go. You have a solution. Don't evade the problem when you know that you're being watched. Don't accept it. Don't accept it. Now, is there any technological skill required to have a Google phone? Well, of course not. You can use APK Mirror if you want. You can use whatever you want. I'm just saying, there is apkpure.com. Whatever you want. Okay, so you can be overwhelmed, but certain things aren't. Nobody's asking you to Google your own phone. We do it for you. So okay, so and I'll talk about that in a second here, but let me just take a quick sponsor break. So that ends the first segment, and we'll go into Q&A. Okay, so my sponsor is Akamai Linode. They haven't changed their name that they've told me, so I'm calling them still just Linode, but it's actually Akamai Linode. Officially, they're Akamai Linode, and they're part of the Akamai Cloud Computing division, or the Cloud Computing, Akamai Cloud Computing. Uh, Linode is my main ISP. It's where I have most of my servers. I have tons of servers on Linode, so I'm a very big Linode user. And how fortunate that they also sponsored me, because then it's kind of nice to have a sponsor that's actually a company that I actually use. So pleased with the way that Linode works. Linode is, first of all, it's such a much cheaper ISP than or cloud services provider than others. Much cheaper than AWS, Amazon AWS, much cheaper than GoDaddy, much cheaper than many of these sites that are around. And you can rent the server for as little as $5 a month if you share it. Shared server for $5 a month. You can run Linux on it. You can run WordPress. You can run a website with WordPress free for $5 a month. So if you're handy with WordPress, you can make your own website and use a theme and for $5 a month. And it includes the bandwidth. And this is really what's nice about Linode, is that they include everything. So there's no hidden charges, no sudden things that happen when you use them. And when you have a problem, they are so reliable with their tech support. And I get tech support. I do tech support with them practically every day. And because we run a lot of servers and there's a lot of issues, and so I have people constantly talking with them and resolving issues, and just not through any fault of theirs. Most of the issues are because of some users who abuse our system. So anyway, I highly recommend them. If you go to Linode and you use the code Rob Braxman, so you do https://linode.com/Rob Braxman when you sign in, they'll give you a $100 credit, and then you can use that within 2 months. And you can use it to even learn how to run Linux. Let's say you want to learn how to do Linux. What is the best way to do that? Well, for $5 a month, for the whole month, you can take servers up and down and use it for practice. If you use only part of the month, that's only part of the $5. So can you imagine if you're like testing servers, and then once you test it, you delete it, then you'll be paying just a fraction of the time because it's hourly. The $5 is an hourly rate for the entire month, so it's pretty cheap. So anyway, that's my recommendation, that you check them out. Okay. Now, I realize that that everyone needs a phone solution, and pricing of phones vary. It depends on how much I pay for it. And well, the good news is that the prices of the phones that I get have dropped. So I'm able to buy Pixels cheaper than I was just recently. So because of this, I've actually lowered the price on all the Google Pixels. So they are on the store, and most of them, the Pixel 3a is much cheaper. The Pixel 4a is even cheaper than a Brax 2 phone. And the Pixel 6a, which we are starting to stock, we don't have a lot of it yet, but we're going to be stocking that, is going to be about the price of a Brax 2 phone. Okay, I mean currently a Brax 2 phone is well, sorry, a Brax 2 phone is currently 420. Okay, the Brax 2 phone is currently 420. I am going to reduce that price tonight. I'm going to drop that to 399. Okay, so that means a lot of the phones are going to be under 400. Okay, so the most expensive phone will only be the Pixel 6, which is the larger phone model. Pixel 6a is the same size as a Pixel 5. Pixel 5s are going to be cheaper as well. So yeah, so Pixel 5s, which are great phones, they're actually 5G. So that's going to be lower in price as well. So we're going to be keeping the price down now that I'm able to get them at a cheaper price. My problem before was not getting enough supply. I could hardly get the phones. Okay, I could hardly get the phones. So it was very hard before to get the phones. So people were like complaining, you know, about, oh, I could get a phone for whatever price and de-Google it myself. Well, you can de-Google it yourself, obviously. The problem if you get a Pixel and you don't know if the Pixel is OEM unlockable, you have a 50-50 chance that the phone you got is not compatible, which is really risky. 50% chance of failure. That's pretty high. And then you can brick the phone. So because of that, then it's usually not worth it to do that. So what I do is I buy the phone. I guarantee the phone for 30 days. And we ensure that it is OEM unlockable because we're going to install the software on it. Most of the upper end models from Pixel 5 on will have Calyx. The lower models will have Lineage OS. Okay, but the upper models will have Calyx OS on it. And then we have the Brax 2 phone, which I don't have a lot of. I do not have a lot of Brax 2 phones, but I'm going to lower the price anyway to $399. But that's not a stock that I can guarantee for the long run. And the reason is because in the fall we'll have a new model, but so we're running out of the current model. So you have to wait for the fall to get another model. Okay, so thank you, Daisy Crazy. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. So anyway, that's the plan with the phones. Especially, I just said that you really need to Google, and so that's you want a Pixel 5 with Calyx. You can. I have those. Yeah, I've actually I'm stocking a lot of Pixel 5s now. And they're in stock. Before you had to pre-order them, I had to order them, but now I can stock them. So which is fantastic. So it's a little hard to, get supplies. I think it's because other companies are buying up these Pixel phones, so I can't really because I only get Mint. So I'm very selective with the phones I get, and because I got to guarantee them. And, even if I guarantee them, some of them fail because they're used phones. Now, the Brax 2 phone is not used. The Brax 2 phone is brand new with a brand new battery. So now we may also restart restocking. This is something we're going to think about here. A Pixel 4. Pixel 4 is a model that was several years ago, but it's still, the same level as the Pixel 4a. And it's made of glass, so it's really, no scratch. It's a really high quality phone. And the problem with them is that they had battery problems. So it was hard to stock them because, we end up replacing so many of them because the battery did not last on them because of the way that there's a flaw, there's a manufacturing defect. So what we are going to do is, at least this is the plan. I don't have them yet. But we're thinking about stocking Pixel 4s and replacing the batteries on them. So they're going to be brand new batteries, because that's really the only problem with a Pixel 4 is the battery. If you have a brand new battery, then they're like a new phone. That's really the main problem with these. It's the battery. So the only problem that, to me, what makes a phone used are scratches on the screen and the battery. A Brax 2 is a brand new phone, a brand new battery, so you pretty much set for 3 to 5 years without having to worry about the battery. But Pixels, if they're used, have been used already for, let's say, a couple of years. The battery might go in a year, depending on how long they've been used. So they're more risky than a Brax 2 phone. So in that sense, a Brax 2 phone is much more reliable. The main issue, though, and that's why I can't just say you're going to use a Brax 2 phone only, or that we can sell only Brax 2 phones, because some of you want certain features on the phone, like certain cameras that you find on the higher end Pixels. They are faster computers, so they are more powerful and more expensive. But the main issue with the Pixel is that they're compatible with Verizon. We released a version of Brax 2 with Band 4, expecting it to be 100% compatible with Verizon. And as it turns out, it's partially compatible with Verizon. It's not always 100% compatible. Because of that, I don't want to make any more claims about Verizon because it's kind of a pain. So I'm just going to state here. Now, yes, a Brax 2 may work with Verizon MVNOs. It's a problem with a lot of Verizon, direct Verizon. You have a 50-50 chance with direct Verizon. It usually works with the MVNO. Like if you use Red Pocket Verizon, it'll probably work. But I don't really want to guarantee that. I don't even want to guarantee that. I'm just telling you right now that if you want to use Verizon, stick to a Pixel. Keep life uncomplicated, then you don't have to worry about it. I'm fine with Calyx OS. Calyx OS is fine. It has the same features. It has the same Aurora Store, Micro G, same stuff. What is the advantage of Calyx over Lineage OS? Mainly because you can upgrade the Calyx OS to a newer Android version, whereas with Lineage OS you have to return the phone to us and we have to do it. T-Mobile is always compatible with all of our phones. Any. T-Mobile is the most flexible, so T-Mobile is fine with Brax 2 phones, fine with Pixels, yeah. So yeah, so if you're going to use Verizon, use a Pixel. I recommend. You can take the risk and get a Brax 2 phone, but you may have to return it and get a Pixel, which I'm happy to do a swap in. As long as you do it in 30 days, we can do that. So yeah, I mean, if you still want to try the Brax 2 phone, yeah, you can do that. But if you want to avoid the issue, just stick with a Pixel if you want to stick with Verizon. Some of you have to do Verizon because you're in a rural area. What about making your own Google phone? Yeah, that's what a MacGyver. What? I don't understand that question. That's what a Brax 2 phone is. We own the Brax 2 phone. Brax 2 phone is branded to Brax. Okay, so yeah. So now there is a new Brax model coming out in the fall. I'm not going to show it to you yet. I have one, and it's first of all, it's very nice looking phone. I mean, it looks like a high end phone. It actually kind of looks like an iPhone. I mean, it has the same edge shape of an iPhone. It looks very thin, and it has the same overall shape as an iPhone. And Brax phone is going to be, after this broadcast, I'm going to lower the price to $399 after this broadcast. So don't buy it if you want the $399. Wait till Yeah, you can use the Google phone in Mexico. Yeah, the Brax 2 USA works in Mexico, and all the Pixels work in Mexico. Yes, I've sold many. Um, is there a way to change the app icons in AOSP? We assign the app icons uh, for our apps, but the other icons are decided upon by the application itself. So you're stuck with Verizon, yes. So yeah, hide from Google, but you don't. If you can't do the Brax 2, then you can't do the Brax 2. Anyway, I don't know what the model name yet of the new phone will be in the fall. Uh, like I said, it's really looks it looks very high end. So if you look at it, it looks expensive, and the other thing that it won't be expensive, but it will look expensive. And the other thing that is going to be a feature on the new phone, this is going to be exciting. It has a switch for the camera and the microphone. It has an actual physical switch. So one of the threats that you got to think about is the threat of a SIM jacker attack, where somebody can take over the phone and listen in on the microphone and turn on the camera without your knowledge. Well, that's not going to happen here. Okay, of course, Google can't do that anymore because it's the Google phone, but they can still attack you through the baseband modem. And now we have a solution for that by doing a physical switch for the microphone and camera. Okay, so you don't have to go put a tape on it. You just use the physical switch. And there's two. There's one on either side of the phone. And they're very tiny. They're actually so tiny you can the case hides them. But if you need to, we have to design some sort of case if you want access to that. Cowboy Zero makes the cases for the Brax 2. He's going to have to design a new case for the new Brax phone. The new Brax phone is completely square. There's no rounded shape on it. It's completely flat, square, exactly like an iPhone, with the same edge, that the same flat edges. So the new Brax phone, can I buy it now? No, you can't buy it now. So yeah, you can't buy it now. I don't have it yet. I don't even know what the price is yet. So that's still going to be decided, when it's manufactured, when I know what the actual code is for the actual price to make them. So yeah, that's going to come in the fall. So I have phones, Brax 2 phones, enough till then, and now I've lowered the price now to $399 after this broadcast. Okay, so it's not yet $399. It's after the broadcast. Okay, now some of you have Brax 2 phones that I'll allow pre-order when we're closer. Some of you have a Brax 2 phone and you break it, you break the screen, you crack it. We do allow you to get a replacement for a lot cheaper. So the phone is $399 now after the broadcast. $399 when it's purchased the first time. But if you break it, we don't charge you $399. We're going to give you a discount. And so if you break it, you can buy a replacement for $250. What is Austell compliant? Our Brax phone, I don't know what Austell compliant is. There are tons of Brax phones in Australia. I've shipped so many Brax International. Correction. I am practically out of Brax 2 International. I don't know how many I have left. That's a handful. I have a handful of Brax 2 International. I don't sell a lot of Brax 2 International, but I'm out almost. So if you want one, you can buy one now. Uh, but very soon I won't have any. And then you have to buy a Pixel. Pixel's fine. You can use a Pixel in Australia. The Brax 2 International works fine in Australia, but many have done that. So the point is, if you break it, you don't have to pay $3.99. So that's part of my guarantee. You break it, you can get a replacement for $2.50. Okay, so that's like 40% off, something like that. So saves you on repairs, because if you repair it, it's going to cost you a screen repair is $150, a back repair is going to be by the time you do all that, it's going to be $250. So there you go. So we can just replace it. Okay, so that's it's communication. Yeah, of course, all phones work in Australia. I've shipped so many. So many people use Brax phones and the Google Pixels and Motorola's and so on. Australia is one of my biggest markets, so most of my phones go to Canada. I mean U.S. obviously, 90% U.S., 80% U.S. Sorry, maybe 10% of the phones go to Canada, and then I'm gonna guess 5% goes to New Zealand, Australia, and 5% to the UK. Okay, and then an occasional one in some of the other countries. Uh, Radorn. There's something new, and I'm not sure that's going to survive. Google Flock, Google Topics. It sounds like it's in conflict with that. So I wouldn't accept that as carved in stone in any way. Okay. So yeah, you'll learn more about it when I talk about the video. Is your phone repair friendly? No, it is not. That's why I sell. If you break it, we have a replacement for 40% less, $2.50, because there are no parts. Phones work in Singapore. I've shipped to Singapore as well. I've shipped the phones also to Hong Kong. So yeah, I've shipped it to Hong Kong, the international model. I don't have many international again, so there's I only have a handful left. A handful left. So if it could go this weekend. I don't know. I don't know how many people do Brax International. I hardly sell any of them. Most of the sales, like I said, 90%, 80% of this, no, 90% of the sales are to North America. So that means Brax to USA. Okay. But yes, currently I do have Brax 2 phones, and they will work in Singapore currently. Where have you not shipped to? I have not shipped to Russia, and I have had a problem shipping to what's that country next to Malta? Can't remember. Some island near Malta. They were a problem. What does this phone do? You watch the first segment, so you understand exactly what the phone does. But a Brax 2 phone and a Google phone, whichever one you choose, is invisible to Google. Otherwise, everything you do is visible. Every single thing. Okay? I'm not being extreme here when I say that. It's really extreme. Everything. Okay? If you go to Fox News and you click on an article about some woke thing, Google can actually know that on multiple levels. Okay? There's actually several ways of tracking that they do. One is called Google Safety Net, where they actually track the zucking URL. Then you have the Google ID. Then you have Google Analytics. You got all your zucked. They know that you clicked exactly on that. They know it exactly. Okay. In contrast, if you have the Google phone, they don't know who the zuck clicked on it. They have no zucking idea. Okay. So that's, that's such a big advantage. I don't know what to tell you. Again, let me repeat again. Everyone with a normal phone found on January 6th in the capital area was tracked, and they have charged 940 some people in the Capitol incident on January 6th. Okay? If you had a de-Googled phone, they would not have known that. Okay? If you had a de-Googled phone, depending on where you were, because in some cases they use Stingray, but aside from Stingray, which requires a closer location, they probably use Stingray inside. But if you're on the outside and you had a de-Googled phone, you're invisible. Okay? So you can't have an excuse to say, well, I have I can't, I got to use Google. I got to use my standard Google Android. I got to use my iPhone. Well, okay. Then you'll show up on the Google Sensor Vault, and they can geofence you at any time. Sorry. You're done. iPhone, Google Android, doesn't matter. They have you. You're in the Google Sensor Vault. You use the Google phone. You're not in the Google Sensor Vault. It's pretty black and white. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know what more argument I can give. It's pretty obvious. Flip phones are KaiOS. Many of the flip phones are KaiOS. Yeah, I do ship to Brazil, although I don't recall ever. Have I ever shipped to Brazil? I don't think so. And the reason is because I don't have. I'm an English speaking channel, so yeah. So, but yeah, I can ship anywhere in the world. Nobody's ever bought from Russia. I guess they don't watch English YouTube. Like I said, I even shipped to Hong Kong. I shipped to Taiwan. Okay, but I only have a handful of international versions. The rest are USA. So the USA version works in North America. I don't know if the same model works in South America. It's North America. So I'm going to guess South America is going to use the international or use a Pixel. If to be safe, you probably want to get a Pixel for South America. Okay. If you're going to riot, put your phone in a tinfoil hat. You know what? Interestingly, they're very selective with that. So here in California, in Santa Monica, there was a riot, right? You can't tell me there was a riot, because some people on YouTube said, no, there's no riot. No, I was there. Okay, not during it because it was dangerous. But I was there after, and they burned buildings and looted many places. Right now, they could have done a geofencing and found out those people with their phones. They could have done that. Guess what? They didn't do that. Okay, how many migrants use black phones? 0. I'm sure it's 0. Okay, so. Yeah, it's very selective. So the mayor of Los Angeles probably said, oh, no, we're not going to, you can riot all you want in LA and we're not going to go find you with geofencing. So geofencing, tracking on the phone or tracking what you do. And some of you are comfortable because I wasn't tracked. I was in that. I looted and I wasn't tracked. Yeah, lucky for you because it depends on your political side apparently. So if you're in the correct political side, yeah, you can escape. You can escape crime. If you are on the wrong political side, yeah, you're gonna get charged like those people in the Capitol. 943 were geofenced. Very, very selective use of geofencing. Very interesting though. This is not non-political. It's just an interesting. It's just interesting. My preference would be that if you are violent, you cause looting, you cause a fire, you burn things, you destroy property, whether it be in the Capitol or everywhere else, then you probably should go to jail. That's I don't get this. Let's only punish some. Let's check your politics first before we punish you. You caused us disturbance and you should go to jail. So what is my political side? None. Gadon, none. Okay, so is the battery on a Google phone longer? Yeah, that's an interesting thing about the Google phones because of the fact that the Google telemetry is taken out. The phone does not report your movements, and every few seconds it tells Google what you're doing. It doesn't do that. So guess what happens? The battery life doubles. Pretty interesting stuff. The battery life doubles when you de-Google, even on the same phone. So a pixel that will last 1 day will last 2 days just from de-Googling. Very amazing reality. That's just proof of how much telemetry is going on. I don't use voice. Yeah, you can anyway. The Google phone doesn't have any kind of voice support for, voice activation, voice help. There is a way to do voice commands if you're handicapped. You can do that, but you can't ask, Google Assistant for any information. There is no Google Assistant. There's no transcription. You can't dictate. That's one of the things that connects to Google, so it doesn't have any of that. Does Linux phones have a future? Well, it's not. That future is not looking too good right this moment. They're really slow with this. So somebody has to, somebody with some sense, maybe an investor. Somebody needs to invest in resources for Linux phones, or Linux phones are not going to survive. Sorry, prior cutoff required 2FA. By the way, yeah, use passkeys. The passkeys are going to come out soon, this fall. And when you start using a passkey and you use the computer login, you don't need a phone. You can actually disconnect the phone. And the passkey will work with the Google phone. I see no reason why not, because it's not really tied to the platform. And if you use a passkey with a Google phone, then you've basically disconnected the phone from 2FA. There is no 2FA. So, yeah, we can get rid of 2FA. 2FA is kind of BS. So it's abused. Yeah, so Brack's phone will be $399 after the broadcast. I have Brack's passkey is my video from last week that nobody watched. The Brax 2 International is perfect for Europe. Your thoughts on automakers dropping AM? I thought Ford was adding back AM. Um, make sure make sure you get a card that doesn't have Android Auto or iPhone. Is it CarPlay? I don't have an iPhone. I don't use any of that. So I have a Tesla. Tesla doesn't have any of that. So there's no external connection like that. So I use Spotify on my car. So let's see. I've iPhone with no Google on it. How can you have an iPhone with no Google on it? It's impossible. There's always Google on it. Even Microsoft. Oh, I was going to tell you. I was going to tell you. So, and I need to make a fresh video on this because I did make a video on how to install Windows. So I got a new computer, and I'm going to dual boot it with Linux because I need to use Windows for editing videos with Adobe Premiere Pro. So anyway, I got this new computer, and it uses Microsoft Windows Home. Usually I get Professional, and this time it came with Home, and I said, well, I'm not going to use it much, so Home is fine. So I would like a 2C a Fed Privacy Bill of Rights. Yeah, that's interesting thing. I see if I can make a video on that in the future. So anyway, so I kind of had a practice today of doing it again, and my gosh, Microsoft Windows 10, 11 Home does not let you log in without a Microsoft ID. So I'll give you a quick tip. I'll do another video on this later on, but I'll give you a quick tip on this. So yes, I was forced on Professional. You can log in without a Windows without a Microsoft ID, but this one required it. So okay, so zuck you. Okay, I'll do it. So I have a I have a Microsoft ID, and hardly used. In fact, the last time it was used was in 2022. So here we are a year ago when I last used the Microsoft ID. So I logged into it, and then so I signed in and immediately created a local account, set up the local accounts, a admin and a non-admin local account. Then I deleted the Microsoft ID, and so now the computer has no Microsoft ID. So yes, you can back into it. If they don't let you the first time, well, suck you. We'll do it on the back end. So I was able to delete the Microsoft ID. So now there's no way that the telemetry will reveal any of that because there's no more Microsoft ID on it. But boy, that just was just difficult. Just all the stuff that Microsoft kept adding on there to track you, widgets and all this nonsense, and just disabling all that. At least they didn't force me to use Siri. They used to force me to do that, and it didn't force me this time. So anyway, that's I'll make a refresher video on this with Microsoft Home and Windows Home, and yeah, that was kind of a pain. So there were like a lot of procedures I had to do. I had to remember all my procedures. So anyway, I don't have a choice. I got to use it. So I'm going to dual boot it with Linux. Okay, so I have two separate hard drives. So put Linux on one and Windows on the other. So yeah, that's what you can use on a Samsung bill. Yeah, it's the only way to Google Samsung. So yeah, Samsungs are. If you're going to buy a Google phone, buy a nice Pixel from the Google store, because someday you can de-Google it if it's from the Google store. If you buy from a carrier, you're zucked. So a tip for you. Another tip for you, even though you haven't decided you want to de-Google, you haven't decided yet, even though I talked to you and explained to you the difference here in the issues. So what do? Easy. You get a phone from Google from Google Store. Get yourself a nice Pixel, Pixel 7, whatever, Pixel 6, Pixel 7, whatever you want to buy. I think Pixel 6 Pro maybe, and a Pixel 7 you can still buy. And then they'll probably have a new model coming out in the fall here, Pixel 8 maybe. Now, when you do that, then you're guaranteed that that phone can be de-Googled. So you don't waste your money. You can say, okay, I can de-Google this later on. Okay? And then it has a life. If you buy an iPhone, you're pretty much zucked. There's nothing you can do. You have to use a sledgehammer. If you have a Samsung, sledgehammer. You have an LG, sledgehammer. Besides, the resale value of a Pixel is better because of the demand for de-Googling. Pixels can be expensive, but not all. The ones with the models that begin with A are not expensive. Like a Pixel 6 is expensive, more expensive if you buy, a current model, because Pixel 6 you can buy used now. So that's lower. There's no Pixel tablet that I could tell you about. Anyway, yeah, so if you're going to buy Google, buy it from the Google store. If you're going to buy one already de-Googled, you can buy it from us. So we already pre-de-Googled the phones. And like I said, we lowered the price on all of those. So, yeah, for example, the Pixel 6a, I'm going to price it around $420. Okay, so Pixel 6a is about the same size as a Pixel 5, so it's smaller. Same size as a Pixel 4a. So Pixel 4a, Pixel 5, Pixel 6a are the same size. Pixel 6 is bigger. Pixel 4a for 5G is bigger. Will Microsoft Word work on a local account? Yes, it's just Microsoft 365 is independent of the Microsoft ID. You can use Microsoft Word with a local account. Yes. No, there is no Windows 12 that I am aware of. Maybe something came up that snuck up on me, but I'm not aware of it. Okay, installed with no MS account with Rufus. Okay, yeah, so Home is the one that required. I also installed Professional with no local account, with no Microsoft account, but they required of Home. So anyway, that's a workaround. Don't worry about it. Use some email. You're not going to use it anyway, so what are they going to track? Sometimes you still need a Microsoft ID if you want to buy an upgrade to Windows. For example, let's say I want to upgrade the Windows to Professional, then I have to pay for that on the Microsoft store, in which case I have to log in with a Microsoft ID, download the version, install it, and then log out, delete the Microsoft ID. And then that's it. That's your only connection with them. It's temporary. Okay? The Google Note 4 went from to a week. Wow, you don't use your device much. Is using a VM a good idea? Yeah, of course it's a good idea. It's a lot of work though. So, it's more of a security thing rather than a privacy thing to do a VM. And I have VM videos. I have various VM videos of doing a VM on Linux and doing a VM on Windows or a Mac. So you can use that. But I like to use VMs when I'm testing Linux distros. What are the risks using a hotspot? Not much. Hotspot is fine. The only problem with a hotspot is that the carrier limits the bandwidth on the hotspot. So Brax2 the only phone you have that is international? No. All of the Pixels are international. So if you're international and I run out of Brax2 International, I still have a handful. Uh, if I run out of those, you still have Pixels. So, and roughly they're the same price now. Okay. You swapped your Google phone for a Google Brain chip. Okay. Okay. Put the wrong details in the username and password boxes. I want out of Apple. Sick of Apple. I did upgrade to Windows 11 on supported PCs. No. You can update to Windows 11. No, I've done that. Yeah, Windows 11 is fine. It's no different. It's no more. Windows 11 is not much more of an invasion of privacy, in my opinion, other than the fact that Windows Home doesn't allow you to not use a Microsoft ID. Beyond that, you can turn the same things off that I've found. Okay. I think liking a comment or video on YouTube initiates a general location track by Google, even if it's off on the app or device because local demographics. No, if you're using a computer, they will track your location on the phone. If you're on a VPN, I know this because I'm using a VPN and the location is always the VPN location. So I know it works fine. So that's on Chrome. Do Brax phones employ facial recognition to unlock? Yeah, you can use that. You don't have to. There is no problem with facial recognition to unlock. That is not biometrics in the same way. It's local only. Same with fingerprint. Do not fear that. Watch my passkeys video. Well, you can install it on any CPU. That doesn't matter. How do I add a hard drive on SyncThing? The device on SyncThing. I don't understand what the question is. SyncThing works on the local device. So if you have a machine, you open it up, you add a new hard drive in it. If it has an M2 slot, you get another hard drive, and you can have up to 2 hard drives in many. Thank you, Samira, my goodness. My good friend, you don't have to do that, Samira. My goodness, we don't want to especially from a friend. We don't need that, Samira. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Anyway, what was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about. You have a nice calming room in the background. Oh, you mean the air conditioner sound? So, yeah, I kind of forgot what the question was I was trying to answer. Some of you can remind me. So, by the way, while we're running out of time here, I got to remind you. Okay, so there's no live stream next week, and no live stream in the next 2 weeks. Oh, SyncThing. Oh yeah. So on SyncThing, you put the hard drive on a device. SyncThing you save to any drive. That doesn't really matter. The device decides where you're going to store it. Yeah. So yeah, you put your SSD in, and you have another drive. Yeah. But if I'm going to make a recommendation for you guys, and you're serious about doing an easy backup, I have to admit, Synology. Watch that Synology video. That was a very popular video. It is so much easier to use in real life, everyday use. I'm backing up my phones automatically. I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to worry about the phone breaking because all the photos and whatever have been backed up. I can delete the photos from it. It doesn't matter. It's it takes a little time to set up, but once you got it set up, it's just effortless. So I on my video I have 12 terabytes on my Synology, and you can set up a Synology for cheap. You don't have to use 12 terabytes like I did. Synology is only like what, $200, $200 for the unit plus the hard drive. I mean, that could be, you could be up and going in, you know, $250 with a smaller hard drive if you just want to back up a phone. And then later on, you can change it to larger drives. But yeah, it's not that expensive a solution. So Synology is really in my experience, as I've been using it now, could you buy Synology? It's $200. I don't know why you would want to. I'm sure somebody will sell it, but $200. So if you buy a you can buy a 512 gigabyte drive for, I don't know, $60. SATA drive, and then Synology, just a single drive, and then put Synology. It's not going to have RAID or anything, because I'm using a 12 terabyte RAID. Okay, so I have two 12 terabytes, so that's 24 terabytes of actual disk space. So that's more expensive, yes. I think $300 for the two hard drives. So, but for 50, $60, you're going to have 512 gigabytes. I mean, that should be enough for phone backups, photos. So, yeah. And it's because it's standalone, you don't have to do SyncThing. SyncThing requires that one of the computers be the storage. So this kind of makes it easy. Okay? Yeah, so that's a very popular video. So, obviously people like that solution. I've got 8 minutes left here. Does RAID even matter with SSDs now these days? SSDs are not as good for, to be honest with you, for like intensive backups because of the way SSD works. Because you're overwriting and it doesn't reuse the areas that's overwritten before, and you can't erase it. So SATA is preferred for backups. Or some people say SATA. I don't know why you call it SATA. So, which love came first, IT or jazz? No, I've been in IT since I was a kid. Jazz actually only happened recently, last 20 years for jazz. So, yeah, so SSD good for OS and games, HDD better for storage. Yeah, so SSD is faster for access on a computer. So your main drive SSD is better because it boots faster. But as far as backup, the way you can reuse the disks and manage the space and erase it over and over, SATA would be better for that. Besides, it doesn't move. One of the advantages of SSDs, if you drop it, you don't hurt it. Well, a NAS is not moving. It's just they're constantly, and the motors are constantly running, and they're really good for that, and they're made to run for long hours, and it doesn't matter. They're a little louder, obviously, because SSD has no sound. So I can hear the NAS working every time I work on my computer. It's automatically backing up to my NAS. So if I'm on a computer and I modify one file, immediately it's backing up. I can hear it back up, and which is kind of nice because I bought a new computer just to make a point here. I bought a new computer, And it was so effortless to restore everything to that computer because all I had to do was download it on the new computer from my NAS. So I just went to, I just brought up the browser, brought up the Synology drive, hit download, and it downloaded, my goodness, I don't know how many gigabytes. A huge, huge amount. I think it was 8 gigabytes compressed. So what is that uncompressed? 40? Yeah. So yeah, it was able to do that pretty quickly, and then I was up and running, and effortless. I didn't even have to touch the old computer because everything already backed up to Synology. So it's really, really a good idea. And some of you have complained that they had their phone and then they dropped it and the screen crashed, and now they can't access the phone because they can't see with the screen, and they don't have any access to it, and they don't know what to do. And yeah, the best way is to be preventive and have the phone automatically back up to a NAS. If you don't have a NAS, yeah, you can use SyncThing, but a NAS is not that expensive of a solution. What GPS? There's no choice. There's the only GPS that's running on the phone is whatever external GPS we provide you. There is no NLP, meaning there's no Wi-Fi triangulation on a Brax 2 phone, which is pretty awesome. But you still have to install all of your programs. Wendy Sue, not if you use Clonezilla. That's another video. You can use your NAS to back up the files, and you can make a clone of your hard drive and store it on the NAS as well using Clonezilla. These are 2 recent videos. This was like a couple months ago. Clonezilla. Okay, so with Clonezilla plus Synology, you save a lot of time. In my case, I reinstall everything. It's just my preference. Let's see. Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. Sound it out. Serial Advanced. What does that mean? Is that SATA or SATA? I guess you're not going to say advanced, you say advanced, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, many acronyms, especially in Linux, don't make any sense. Like a GNOME. You're using GNOME. GNU. These are not obvious pronunciations. Okay. So yeah. So yeah. So Synology is a great solution, and watch that video, and it links to the actual devices you can use in the description. Wendy, so you do a clean install, and then you make a Clonezilla of the clean install, so that if there's a virus you can restore. So I do that. But if it's a new computer, I'll do a clean install, and that's also good because then I know there's no virus on it. And then I back it up with Clonezilla. So I have a USB with Clonezilla on it, so it's very easy. Okay, and I have a portable SSD drive. So I do use Clonezilla, back it up to the SSD drive, and then that I can copy to the Synology. Okay? I don't know who that is. Jace Ventura 2. I don't know who that is. I know somebody also mentioned that, it would be interesting to see you work with David Bombal. I did. So David Bombal, we did an hour interview. He interviewed me for an hour, and yeah, he I believe he wants to do it again. So is VM slow? Yes. Uh, what did I'm curious. What is Bing? Well, that's just Chat GPT, but with internet access. What does it say about me now? Anything new? Um, okay, so we're out of time, friends. My goodness, I missed that. We're exactly out of time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a live stream in. There's a 2 week gap, and I'll see you in 3 weeks, and watch the video next week. Thank you for watching, and see you later, guys. Good night. Okay, I'm not yet out of.